Saturday mornings in my neighborhood are supposed to be quiet birds, sprinklers, coffee brewing. But that day started with the roar of a diesel engine and the sight of a bright orange dumpster swinging from a crane right over the HOA president's perfect driveway. I didn't even flinch. I just stood there with my mug watching karma land like a steel meteor, and in that moment I knew the war was finally over. It hadn't started that way, though. My name's James Harding, and I live on Maple Drive, a peaceful cookie-cutter suburb that turned into a battleground the moment Karen Whitmore decided she was queen. She wasn't elected. She was installed, like a bad update that nobody asked for. Clipboard always in hand, pearls around her neck, and a smile sharp enough to cut glass, she ruled this place through fines and fear. All I wanted was to clean out my garage. I rented a dumpster, a temporary one, legally allowed under state law. The contractor dropped it in my driveway, and before I could even toss out a single box, Karen was already standing there like a hawk spotting prey. "This violates Section 14B, she said, waving her clipboard. "It's temporary," I replied. "Just a week. Construction waste." "You should have filed a request," she said sweetly. "I'm afraid this will come with a fine." The next day I got a letter. $500. Fine. $500 to clean my own garage. I laughed at first. My contractor did too. "Man, just pay it and move on," he said. But that's the thing. That's what everyone does. They pay, they give up, and that's how people like Karen win. I wasn't going to pay. I emailed the HOA citing the state statute that clearly allowed for temporary dumpsters. I attached proof photos and the rental agreement. I expected them to back off. Instead, I got another notice. Failure to pay will result in additional penalties and a lien warning. That's when I realized it wasn't about the rule. It was about control. Karen thrived on making people obey. She fined old couples for having grandkids' toys on the lawn, threatened to tow cars that looked too sporty. Everyone just let her, because fighting back was exhausting. But me, I had time. I started documenting everything. Dates, photos, emails. I showed up to every HOA meeting, sat quietly in the back taking notes. She hated it. The tighter I smiled, the tighter her voice got. Once she said during a meeting, "If you have a problem with how we run things, maybe you should volunteer for the board." I smiled back. Maybe I will. I didn't have to. Karma had better timing. 3 days later, my contractor called. "Hey, got an extra dumpster from a canceled job. Want me to haul it or park it somewhere for a day?" I paused, and an idea hit me like a lightning bolt. "You know what, I think I've got the perfect spot." That evening, the street filled with the sound of hydraulics. Neighbors peeked through curtains as a crane lowered a massive dumpster right into Karen's pristine driveway. Her Lexus blocked. Her walkway gone. Her decorative mailbox buried. She came flying out in a bathrobe screaming, "What is this? Move it! Get that thing off my property!" The worker just shrugged. "Ma'am, we were told this was the delivery address signed by HOA president." "That's you, right?" You could almost see her brain short-circuit. By nightfall, the dumpster sat there like a monument to poetic justice. Someone taped a note on it. "Looks great, Karen. Perfectly within HOA standards." For a weekend, the neighborhood was free. People smiled again. And I thought maybe that's it. Maybe she'll chill out. But power-hungry people don't cool down. They simmer. A week later, another envelope appeared on my door. Unauthorized exterior modification. Failure to respond will result in penalties. My crime. Repainting my garage door the same color. She just needed a reason to keep swinging. That's when I hit my lowest point. I remember sitting on my porch late one night staring at her house across the street, wondering if I'd made things worse for everyone. Was I the problem? Maybe I should have just paid the fine. Maybe I was feeding her obsession. For a moment, I almost believed it. Then, I looked at that second notice with its gold HOA letterhead and wax seal like some medieval decree, and I thought, no, I'm not crazy. She is. So I opened the bylaws. And there it was, Article 9. The HOA's authority only extended to properties within the original subdivision boundaries. My house was annexed later. Unless I'd signed an acceptance form, they had no jurisdiction. I checked my files. I'd never signed. The next morning, I mailed a certified letter. Per Article 9, Section B, my property is not subject to full HOA authority. Cease enforcement immediately. It was like dropping a grenade into her kingdom. She called me that afternoon shrieking, "You can't just opt out." I didn't opt out, I said calmly. I just never opted in. Click. Silence. I thought that might end it. But Karen wasn't built to lose. She started tagging my mailbox as non-compliant, reporting me to the post office, dragging my trash cans into the street. She even blacklisted my contractor from working in the neighborhood. She wanted me isolated. So I went public. At the next HOA meeting, I showed up early, phone recording on a tripod, completely legal. When the floor opened, I stood. Can someone clarify Article 9? Which homes are actually under HOA authority? The room went dead silent. People started flipping through their packets. Someone whispered, "Wait, what's Article 9? I read it out loud. Properties annexed after 2015 are voluntary participants. That includes mine and at least 3 others. So, have you been collecting dues illegally? The air cracked. Karen's face went pale. She slammed her gavel and shouted, "Meeting adjourned," then stormed out. That night, a tow truck showed up to haul my pickup labeled abandoned. I caught them mid-hook, called the cops. They made the driver unhook it on the spot. Across the street, Karen pretended to be on the phone. The officer just shook his head. "You've got a real piece of work here." And he was right, because a week later at dawn, a city truck and a crane rolled up not to my place to hers. I stepped outside with my coffee deja vu hitting hard. The foreman yelled, "Driveway delivery for 112 Maple Drive." Signed, HOA President. Karen ran out, hair flying. "No, that's a mistake. Stop that thing." The foreman checked his clipboard. "Paperwork's clean, ma'am," says 1-week placement signed by Karen Whitmore. The dumpster dropped with a ground-shaking clang. Half the street burst into laughter. Someone yelled, "That's karma with hydraulics." Within hours, it became a neighborhood attraction. People took selfies with it. Someone taped a banner that read, "Liberty Bin." Even the mailman gave me a wink. By Monday, Karen was broken. Her authority evaporated. She tried to recover by holding an emergency vote to restore order, but the community had seen the truth. During the meeting, neighbors called her out: fines, harassment, fake violations. Then, Harold, a usually quiet guy, stood up. "Karen, you filed a demolition order for James's shed. Why?" She froze. "That's private HOA business." "No," he said. "It's public now." I handed city inspection papers to the board. Her order was completely unauthorized. The board conferred. One member asked Ms. Whitmore, "Did you verify this with city code enforcement?" I was told it was unsafe. By who? She hesitated. A contractor. The crowd erupted. Phones recording people shouting. A board member finally said, "It's time for leadership change." Karen grabbed her papers and stormed out. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. That night I woke to the sound of an engine idling. I looked out and froze. Karen was in a small construction loader inching toward my shed. I ran out. Karen. "Are you insane?" She screamed. "You ruined everything. They're voting me out because of you." "You did that yourself," I said. "You don't belong here. You're turning this place into chaos." She revved the engine. It coughed, sputtered, and died. Neighbors' lights flicked on. Someone called 911. When the police arrived, she just sat there on the curb, whispering, "I only wanted order." The next day, the board voted her out unanimously. For the first time in years, Maple Drive felt free. Lawns overgrew by an inch, people left gnomes in their yards, and nobody cared. But Karen wasn't done. A week later, a moving truck appeared, her son, Brandon Whitmore, moving into the house across from mine. And he had the same smirk. Within days, violation notices appeared again, now signed B. Whitmore, Community Standards Coordinator. I almost laughed, the sequel nobody asked for. He tried to rebuild her empire, threats memos, intimidation, but this time I had the whole neighborhood behind me. and one call to a journalist friend was all it took. The story went viral. Son of HOA tyrant attempts hostile takeover. 2 days later, City Dispatch called me, barely holding back laughter. "Mr. Harding, we have a request here from your HOA's new administrator for a dumpster delivery to 112 Maple Drive. Signed, Brandon Whitmore." "Proceed," I grinned. "Please do." That Friday morning, the same orange dumpster descended on the same driveway. Brandon stormed out yelling, "Who signed for this?" The foreman read, "Says here authorized by B. Whitmore." And just like that, the Whitmore dynasty collapsed again. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. Watching them both stand their mother and son speechless as the neighborhood laughed was enough. Later that night, I found an envelope in my mailbox. Inside, a single note scrawled in Karen's familiar handwriting. "This isn't over." I smiled, folded it, and whispered to myself, "Maybe not, but it's over for you." Lesson learned. When control becomes an addiction, even the smallest act of defiance can bring an empire crashing down.